Don't get left lost and alone. No, 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 not in the Twilight Zone. Welcome all and welcome back to the Milky Beard 360. Right now, right here, we have a top 5 that is very important and very informative for all of you. You love the Twilight Zone? Of course you love the Twilight Zone. Everyone loves the Twilight Zone. Who doesn't love the Twilight Zone? Well, with this countdown, we are going to give attention to 5 little Twilight Zones that could. Yes, we will be counting down the top 5 underrated gems swirling about the Twilight Zone universe. Now, by Twilight Zone universe, we will be referring to the Rod Serling narrated Twilight Zones. I haven't watched the Jordan Peele ones yet, but when I do, I can't wait to review them with you. Now, there does seem to be a revolving door of about 20 episodes of the classic Twilight Zone that get mainstream love. Deservedly so. There's no doubt that the William Shatner Nightmare at 20,000 Feet deserves its top 5 glory spot. Also, the Telly Savalas Living Doll, Talking Tina, Grandma Doll of them all, top 5 material for sure. The Billy Mooney ones, but especially It's a Good Life. You know what happens when you are a bad, bad man there. And of course you have to serve man. So all of those episodes and quite a few more are top 5 goals for episode love. But there are some other ones that deserve our attention too that we're going to shed light onto right now. So in no ascending or descending order, just 5 of them, 5 top ones. And you know how we do with spilling the frijoles. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Let's begin with one underrated gem swirling about the Twilight Zone universe. What's in the Box? What's in the Box is kind of like that movie Pleasantville with Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon before Pleasantville was most likely even thought of. Here, you have this gruff, old taxi cab driver of a man, philanderer of a husband who needs to watch his wrestling, but his television is broken. As in grand old Twilight Zone tradition, an enchanted technician comes to repair the box, leaving the philanderer of a husband only able to see violent images of himself killing his wife whenever he changes the channels. The creep factor with What's in the Box hovers in the low to mid 6s. It's not very scary or creepy, but it is the domestic violence that raises your eyebrows. When you have a philanderer of a husband, you will have a not so happy wife waiting in the wings somewhere, and no different here. The couple in this episode fight like CO and inmate. They fight like raccoons and pit bulls. It is not a pretty sight, especially with our Me Too seasoned eyes where we want to get rid of things like, baby, it's cold outside. What's in the Box might be on the chopping block. So although it is an interesting watch, you better watch it quickly before the agenda people get their hands and eyes on it. So What's in the Box? Give it a watch. Let's go down to number 2 underrated gem of the TZU, The Passersby. Dong, 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 dong. A young woman sits on her porch awaiting the return of her beloved from his service in the Civil War. The creep factor with The Passersby hovers in the mid-8s, higher than What's in the Box, even if the theme here is an all-tried and all-true one within the world of Twilight Zone. Death and dead people being everywhere, both literally and metaphorically. So, even though this episode just reeks of Confederate-era privilege and prejudice, you kinda don't mind because you figure all these guys are dead. But there is this constant solemn march of wounded soldiers outside this damsel's house, There's this old tattered up, beat up soldier strumming these melancholy songs on his banjo underneath her scuppernong arbor tree. And it all tends to lend to some eeriness and sadness to the whole proceedings. There's even an appearance by Abraham Lincoln towards the end, which I think shoots for gravitas, but lands somewhere in Hokieville. But the way they all discover they are dead is pretty cool. So give the passersby a try if you're on the flip side of the Twilight Zone. Number 3 underrated gem of the Twilight Zone world, The Last Rites of Jeff Myrtlebank. The Last Rites of Jeff Myrtlebank might get more mainstream love than some of the others on this list, but not enough in my estimation. Here, you have this young buck who suddenly dies from tuberculosis, rickets, scurvy, something that took them out back in those black and white sky days. And in the middle of his funeral, you guys, he just sits up bigger than shit, scaring the wits out of the small-minded townsfolk. Now they have a dilemma on their hands. They have to figure out whether this newly emerged Jeff Myrtlebank is a product of the Christ and a normal human's person, or is he a haint, a demon? So the entire episode hinges on that dilemma, but it's the actor who portrays Jeff Myrtlebank who really deserves his roses, because his eyebrows and his eye machinations alone make this a creep factor that is definitely in the mid-8s. He has a fiance named Comfort in this episode too. It's some real countrified horror here that you gotta give a watch as soon as this video is over. Number 4 Twilight Zone gem that some have seen, but more should. Nothing in the Dark. Nothing in the Dark features an old, hyper-aged woman who believes that death is literally gonna come to her doorstep. So she barricades herself in her tenement of an apartment until she hears the plaintive cries of a wounded policeman outside her doorstep. And when she looks to see who it is none other than a young Robert Redford, a young nubile Robert Redford. Now, when Hollywood likes to cast death as the Brad Pitts and young Robert Redfords of the world, it's no wonder that you're going to have a lot of ladies in either the H above or the H below. Now, when this old lady laid her eyes on that nubile-prone man in the snow, she felt twitches in her nether region that she ain't felt since she heard Robert Johnson last sing Devil at the Crossroads, for the desire for dark meat ran deep in her eyes, anyone could tell. So once again, she has to figure out if this Robert Redford dude is going to be death, and does she unwittingly let him in and all of that. So even if this episode gets a little bit slow, giving it a creep factor kind of in the low 7s. The dialogue is pretty intriguing, and Robert Redford is pretty creepy as fuck too. So give this one a watch if you have never seen it, or if you haven't seen it in a long time. Let's now finish this list of an underrated gem of the Twilight Zone world. Number 5, Kick the Can. Kick the Can is a classic, aha, that's what the fuck you get kind of episode of the Twilight Zone universe. Here, you have another hyper-aged elderly man who's spending the rest of his end days in a Shady Pines type retirement home. Now, he feels that he's licked this problem with aging if he could just engage in one last boyhood game of Kick the Can. So when he wants to try to gather his cronies around to play this game, of course, his best friend, the cliched naysayer, has to talk him out of it at every twist and turn. But little does this naysayer know that his friend was fucking right. And when the naysayer realizes the magic too late, it's like, aha, that's what the fuck you get. While you're going to watch your friend be Peter Pan along with the rest of the cronies who played some Kick the Can with him when he asked, you are going to be spending the rest of your time shitting on yourself and probably eating some lime jello. This episode was about loyalty. It didn't cost him anything to play some kick the can with his best friend, but he had to snitch on him the whole time. And another theme that is tried and true in the Twilight Zone world is escape from the weary world. And Kick the Can does a good job at portraying that theme. So watch Kick the Can, you guys. Watch it. It's delightful. And there you have it. Top 5 gems swirling about the Twilight Zone universe. Please don't leave without first liking this video if you enjoyed its content, sharing it with all, and subscribing to the Milky Beard 360 for more foamy videos. But most importantly, do click in the link in the description below, because if you are a fan of Tales from the Flip Side or from the Back of Beyond, I got 10 tales from the falling candlelight that you're gonna love if you click in the link in the description below. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm gonna see you again on that next video. Bye.